Hi everybody, this is Zahira with Psychic Protection Sanctuary, and we are now starting our Facebook Live for our Psychic Protection Sanctuary Facebook group. And so in the last, actually we're into March right now, and so this year so far, January, February, March, we've only been doing our Facebook Lives once a month. So I think we've kind of lost some of our momentum, and so I'm sorry about that. But I do think we are going to get some people here in a little bit. So while we're waiting for people to join, I'm going to just go over some random info. So stick with me because our topic for today is story time. I'm actually going to share some personal stories of some things that I have gone through in the last month. And these are things that are going to be included in my next book, or my sequel to Darkness Disguised as Light. So if the sequel might be my next book, there might be another book that I might be interjecting about something else. So we shall see. But basically you're going to get a sneak peek of some content, one of the chapters or part of the story that's going to be in the next book. So before I jump into that, just want to do a quick introduction for anybody who is new to me and to my work. My name is Zahira, and this Facebook Live is happening on our Psychic Protection Sanctuary Facebook group. So if you are watching this on my YouTube channel, which is also called Psychic Protection Sanctuary, then if you would like to join in on our Facebook Live classes, then you can join the Facebook group and be able to participate and be a part of that group. You can also purchase my book, Darkness Disguised as Light, by me, Zahira, on Amazon. So just go to Amazon.com and you can get the book. And it came out last year, and it has been very well received, and a lot of people have really loved the book, which really makes me happy. It's not about whether you like it or not. Actually, it's about whether you're getting something from it. And a lot of people have shared with me that they got a lot from the book. So let me just explain a little bit how that book is formatted, because this is going to apply to what we're going to talk about today. So Darkness Disguised as Light, each chapter tells my story of things that I've gone through, paranormal and psychic attack kinds of situations, spiritual warfare. And then at the end of each chapter, there's a lesson. So not only are you learning about my story and what happened, what I've gone through, but also I'm breaking down the lessons that I've learned along the way so that you can benefit as well. So that's part of the reason why I'm going to go ahead and share this personal story with you today. And yeah, this is so crazy. We don't have anybody joining live right now. And we used to have a ton of people. And I know, you guys, I know it's because it's just hard when we only go once a month. Like, it just loses momentum, and I totally get that. My personal rule is, as far as my work, I try to keep a really good balance so that I'm not overextending myself and then not offering something really good when I get on. So maybe sometime we'll get back to once a week, possibly. We will just see how it goes. But anyway, so many of you will probably watch the replay, and as always, I always post it onto YouTube so that you can enjoy it on there as well. So, all right, so let me jump into my story, and if anybody joins late, you'll have to just go back and watch and go back to the beginning. So right now, today's date is, what the heck date is it? March 18th. And so we're almost at the end of March. Last month I went on a trip. I left on Monday night and I got back on Friday. And I went to Arizona. Sorry, I had a mint in my mouth and I forgot to chomp it before I pressed record. So I went on a trip to Arizona. Now, that was at the end of February. The previous month, at the end of January, I went to Sedona. Now, I don't typically do a lot of traveling. I'm kind of a stay-at-home kind of person, even though I love traveling. But starting in the beginning of the year, in January 2019, I started to notice a really weird energy coming into the area where I live, the metropolitan area. And I am clairvoyant, so I can see energy, and I'm also clairaudient and clairsentient and all the clairs, so I get information a lot of different ways. Well, I was really alarmed at what I was seeing. All of these dark entities, like the skies were covered with these beings that were flying in. It was like they were blocking the sun. It was really bizarre, and it was really shocking. Like, it kind of freaked me out. I'm pretty laid back because I've seen a lot of things, but it was shocking. It was like, oh my God, what the hell is happening? And I noticed that I wasn't feeling right either. Like, the energy was affecting me. And there were several clients and students that I talked with privately that, hey, Charles, it's good to see you. It's just the two of us. I was just saying before you hopped on that I used to do Facebook Lives once a week, and I've been really busy the last couple of months. So we've kind of lost our momentum a little bit. But that's okay. High five. We'll just have like a little small little party here. So I'm just telling some stories about some things that I've been through recently. So hey, Melissa, good to see you. So perfect timing, you guys, because I'm just now getting into the stories. So I was noticing some really weird energy coming into I was seeing entities flying in over the skies of the metropolitan area. I live out in the country, so as a clairvoyant, I would go outside and I would see like all this energy converging over the area, over the metropolitan area that I live outside of. And it wasn't just energy, it was entities, like hordes of dark entities flying in, okay? And that might sound really creepy, and it is. And so there were actually a lot of, there were several students and clients that I was having sessions with or teaching classes with or whatever, who would just of their own volition, they would start to tell me how they weren't feeling right. The energy was just like overwhelming for them. They were feeling this strong urge to to move away. And remember, this was without me prompting them. They were like feeling this strong urge, like the energy was just, they couldn't tolerate it anymore. And that's what I was feeling too. So the difference was that I'm also clairvoyant, so I could see like this crazy stuff happening. So I thought, well, that's really interesting. I'm not the only one who's feeling this. There's a lot of sensitives that are feeling like something, it just feels intolerable to them, but they couldn't put their finger on it. Now, there's a really small private group that I meet with online where we consult with each other and share notes and stuff. And I shared with them what, and Melissa, yes, this was recently. It was, I started to see it in January. Like all of a sudden in January, there was all this darkness that came in. And Charles says, we should chat It is going on all over the Midwest. Charles, buddy, I've been thinking about you a lot the past couple days, and I really, just side note, everybody, one-on-one conversation between me and Charles, I really feel like you and I have a lot in common, and we're both really, really sensitive energetically, and we both have a lot of light, and we have both tended to be targets. And I see a lot of similarities there. I totally think we should talk big time. Okay, back to y'all's, everybody. So back to the story. So, anyway, so I started feeling this like really strongly in January, and I was talking to, this little group that I consult with, and they, one of them pointed out to me, she said that, yeah, Charles, totally agree. She said that, now this might not make sense if you haven't read my first book, Darkness Disguised as Light, but just bear with me. She said that the one of the characters in the book that I talk about, who is the angel healer, angel teacher, quote, that's in quotes, angel, because in the book you find out that actually she's working with very malevolent energies, that are harmful, and I come under attack by the supposed angelic energies that she's working with. So that's what that book is about. But this person that I was chatting with in this group, she said, you know, so-and-so, I don't ever identify people. She said, so-and-so is really expanding her game. She's training a bunch of people. She's just announced like all of the, just, she's expanded her outreach like a lot. And I actually, she sent me a picture of, one of her friends and this angel, teacher that had trained her. So there's the friend, and then there's the angel person, and I say angel in air quotes, that they were in a photograph together. And so this associate of mine sent me this picture and said, see, this is one of the graduates. And I looked at the picture and I made a mistake. Okay, so here's a little teachable moment here. Speaking of story and learning things from my story. Teachable moment. So I'm looking very intently at the picture because being clairvoyant, I can see a lot in photographs. So I'm genuinely curious, like what's happening with this person? Like, I have a lot of thoughts about this. Like what's happening with this so-called healer? And so I look at the picture and I look right into her eyes and I'm like, oh, wow. Her eyes are like, what I see are like black demon eyes. When I looked at the picture, I'm like, oh man, this person doesn't have regular eyes. And I was really shocked because her eyes looked weird before, but they looked even weirder now. Like this angel person is even further deep into whatever darkness she's working with. And so I'm like, oh man, like her eyes are like black instead of having, whatever color, like I've got hazel, it's black. And I'm like, that's freaky. So then I go to bed. Hey Charles, see you later. So then I go to bed and I get into bed and I'm like, ooh, I'm suddenly aware that there's an entity. I am like, I totally work really hard to keep my my home and my property really clear. So if anything gets in, like I notice it. So I'm like, wait, there's something here. What the heck? And it was actually the entity, this really nasty entity that is working through this so-called angel lady. And so I was like, oh my God, this thing is like, it was interesting because it wasn't fully in my home. It was more like a projection of it because it was checking up on me. And by me, here's the freaky thing, by me looking at her picture, because I've been cloaked. These past couple of years, I have completely cloaked myself so that she and her entity can't find me, because I was under major attack. I thought that thing was going to kill me a couple of years ago. It is nasty. So, I'm just reading comments here. So so I'm like, oh man. So just looking at her picture allowed that entity connected with her to see me. So I'm like, oh my God. Or yeah, so it was the entity that saw me, that reconnected. I'm like, no, that is not okay. So I'm working on clearing this out. And then the next day I get up and I'm, doing my normal schedule. I'm at home. And then in the evening, I am right here at this desk and I am on my computer and I'm just like getting some office administrative stuff done. And you see there's a door behind me. Well, when you open that door, that's like the entrance way to when you come in the front door. So I'm sitting here, I'm on my computer and I hear something. It like sounded like someone came in the front door. So I turn around. And when I'm not on video, I have this door open. It just looks more nicer when it's closed when I'm on video. So the door's open. So I turn and so I can see the entryway, and I see the angel lady walk in to my house. And as she walks, I see her walk through the entryway and then into my living room. And I'm like, oh, no. Now I'm clairvoyant, so I can see. Got all the clairs. I'm also claircognizant, which means that I just know things. So I saw that and I went, oh, and I immediately knew that because of me looking at her picture the day before, it had connected us, even just a little bit, so that I was on her mind. It also made me show up on the entity's radar, which is why it had shown up the night before. So, excuse me. So I, excuse me, I'm gathering my thoughts here. So I got to figure out where we want to go next with this. Okay, so I see her come in and I realized that just looking at her picture not only made me show up on the entity's radar, but on her radar. So I do believe that the entity, this entity that works through her, it guides her, it communicates with her. She believes that it's an angel guide. Or I don't know if I don't like, that's to be the answer to that. I don't really know for sure whether she is fully aware or not that this is not actually an angel, or if she's doing it intentionally, working with malevolent energy intentionally. But what I do know is that it gives her messages. It speaks to her. She hears it. She hears messages, and it does what she does, what it says. And so I really think that it alerted her. This entity said, hey, check up on Maya, see what she's doing. Because when I turned around and I saw her walk, now she wasn't physically here, by the way. Okay, just to be really clear about that. I saw it with my clairvoyant vision. I was not expecting to see her, by the way. Like, I wasn't thinking about her and then I'm like imagining that she's there. Like, my jaw dropped. I turned around and I'm like, oh my God, she just walked through my front door. So, hi, Jeannie. Good to see you. So, anyway, I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit. That's because I don't have notes today. That is okay. So anyway, I immediately know that she had been alerted. Like I had been put back on her radar. And so she was, I saw in my mind's eye, I had this knowing that she had gone into meditation. She was sitting at her home in meditation, and she had astral projected herself to my house to check up on me to see what I was doing and what I was up to. Okay, so that's a big lesson there. I want you to really understand that if there has ever been anyone who has been psychically attacking you or sending you negative energy, and you've cut off contact with them, let's say you've blocked them on Facebook or whatever because they're toxic and they're bringing negative energy into your life, then that's not enough. Because for me, this was a huge lesson. Just looking at this person's photograph caused us to be reconnected energetically, where they began to have access to me again. Is that not crazy or what? So I work with a lot of people who are trying to get away from, whether it's a toxic relationship or an entity issue or psychic attack or whatever, all that stuff. And if there's a person involved and the person is continues to text you or send you messages on Facebook and you keep responding, it allows them to still have access to you. Now think of this. I've had no contact with this person whatsoever, and just looking at her photo allowed access to begin to happen. So just that, okay? So keep that in mind. That is how easy it is. If somebody's powerful, which the entity that's working through her is super, scarily, if that's a word, powerful, okay? So just looking at a photograph allowed contact to begin to happen. So I realized right away, oh crap, because I sort of did a clearing the night before, but I was my head had just hit the pillow. I was tired, so I didn't really do a lot to clear it. Well, once I saw her walk in the door, I'm like, okay, that's it. So I immediately stopped what I was doing. I got up and I cleared my house completely, set up my protection grids, did all my stuff, and was very powerful about it. And then I didn't have any further issues. Okay. But going back to the beginning, what I was talking about was that over Kansas City, and I didn't say what city it was at the beginning because I was trying to be vague. Sorry, guys. Now we all know. You all know where I live anyway, so it's no big secret, okay? But I do try. Well, at least with the people that I'm talking about, I never identify people. That's not how I roll. I always keep it on the down low. But so I was starting to see this really weird energy rolling into Kansas City. And then this associate that I spoke with said, oh, the person that you wrote about in your book is really upping her game. And that's probably what this is about. And I tuned in and I was like, yeah, that is a lot of what this is about. All this dark energy is getting called in. And then when I just simply looked at a photograph of this person in question, some psychic attacks started to happen. Just the little bits of it. And here's another little lesson is that once you start to really understand psychic attack and how it works, you will see signs of it. You'll see the very first niggling sign of it and you will take care of it right away. Because in this situation where the entity and then the person's astral projection the next day, that could have turned into a nightmare in my house. And a couple of years ago, 3+ years ago, if I hadn't known how to identify it and exactly what to do about it, 3 years ago when I encountered this so-called healer, I was being terrorized for several weeks. Okay. So it just goes to show that the more informed you are and the more you're able to identify when something might be beginning to happen, then you can eradicate it immediately, take care of it, and then avoid being terrorized and having a really horrible, having it build to a really horrible situation. Because that is usually how if someone's going to have a major psychic attack happen, oftentimes it doesn't just come out of the blue and become a horrible attack. Often it will start off small with a few little windows and doors being opened, and then they'll test the waters. Okay, can we get into her house? And then some more stuff will happen, and then it will build a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And each time it builds, it wears the person down more, and they go more into fear and desperation. And then the weaker the person gets, then all of a sudden there's this huge onslaught of horrible psychic attack. That is often, if someone's going to experience a bad attack, often it builds. So now that you've connected with this kind of information, and the book, if you haven't read it yet, Darkness Disguised as Light, when you have access to this kind of information, then you can learn how to identify it before it even starts, or right at the very beginnings. Excuse me. And I'm going to just interject here. Last month we had a totally different topic that we were talking about, and we were going to do part 2 of that today, and we were not able to, because I was going to sit down and spend some time this afternoon writing out notes and really getting really clear on exactly what I wanted to cover with you all. And I got called away on an emergency house clearing, and that was a really high priority. So I went and did that. And then as I was driving to the house clearing, I was like, oh, I don't really want to cover that other topic because I haven't had time to address it properly, and I really want you to get the most out of it. So what could I do instead? Okay, story time. So that's what we're doing. So the main part of the story is about how I looked at that picture, and it caused access to start to happen again between me and this entity and the healer who works with the entity. But I will give you a little tidbit of what happened after that, but that's a whole other story. So now I took care of that issue, did a house clearing. I didn't see any signs of entity activity in my house after that. Everything was fine. And then but I was still feeling really troubled by the energy that I was seeing over the city. And another person from that online meeting that I had said to me, you really need to go to Sedona. You need to get out of the energy of Kansas City, and you need to just go be somewhere else. And I said, you know what? You are right. I didn't have any travel plans on my agenda. I was just planning on just doing my usual thing, hanging out here. And but I'm like, no, I need to escape this energy for a little while. So I went to Sedona, and that was an interesting experience, and it was really good to get away. I left on Monday. It was a short trip also. I left on Monday at the end of January, the last week of January. Left on Monday. I was there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, came back on Friday. And my friend picked me up from the airport, and it was nighttime in Kansas City. And when I had been away, I had kind of been so busy focusing on exploring out there that I kind of forgot what brought me out there in the first place. Like the energy that I was seeing in Kansas City, that wasn't even on my mind at all as we were pulling away from Kansas City. So we pull away, I'm in the passenger seat, and I look out the window. I'm just looking out because, you're in you're a passenger, you look out the window. And so I look out the window, And I say, oh my God. And my friend says, what? And I said, the sky does not look right at all. There's something wrong. And she said, what do you mean? I said, the sky did not look like this in Arizona. There is something energetically obscuring. Like there's some like there's something covering at energetically, and it's like pushing down. Like the sky feels really low here in Kansas City. And so I'm like kind of freaking out. I'm not like scared or anything, but I'm just like, oh my God, that's whacked. I mean, that is, the thing is I noticed it even more than before because I removed myself from the area and then came back, and it was even more evident. So that was weird. Then in the next week after that, I was like, I don't know if I want to stay in this energy anymore. Like this is like, I mean, I want to be helping. I want to help. But this energy just feels so like, it just was feeling really intolerable to me. Like I couldn't even think straight. Just emotionally, it felt like it was like it just felt like I was being blasted all the time. I don't know how to describe it. So I thought, you know what? Maybe I want to move. Now I've lived in Kansas for 30 years, 30 plus years, a long time. Moved here when I was in junior high. So I was in 6th grade when I moved here. And it had never ever, like, oh, I don't know. I really have never seriously thought about moving. And so I then spent the next couple of weeks, like, really kind of obsessing actually over, like, if I move, where would I move to? And so then I scheduled a another trip, because I thought at the very least, I need to just get out of this energy and get to some sunshine. So I scheduled another trip to Arizona, and this time it was outside of Phoenix, in an area called Gold Canyon. And I scheduled an Airbnb, which, if you don't know what that is, it's like, if someone has an extra bedroom in their house, then they rent it to a traveler. Or if they have like a guest house or something on their property, then they'll rent that out. So, and it's actually cheaper than a hotel. Now, what I experienced, so anyway, so then I go on this trip at the end of last month. What I experienced on that trip was crazy. And that is a whole other video, okay? That, like, it would take me an hour to tell you all about what happened on that trip. But is there any kind of nutshell that I want to say about that? We'll just say that I was considering moving to Tucson. Now, by the way, I'm a really plan ahead kind of person. So when I say thinking about moving, that's like, in my mind, that's like in a year or something like that. Like I'm somebody that, like, I'll usually research and like plan and to have tons of time to finish up my responsibilities and yada, yada, yada. So this was like possible long-term plan, but I wasn't sure. So I was going to stay outside of Phoenix in Gold Canyon. And then one of those days I was going to drive to Tucson and just check it out. Just for a little bit of initial research. Well, the dark interference that I encountered, because I was supposed to, so I arrived on Monday night at Gold Canyon. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I was supposed to be in Gold Canyon, just chilling out, doing some self-care, doing some spiritual renewal so I can fill myself back up because of all the really intense work that I do with my clients. And then go to Tucson. Let's see, I was supposed to be in Gold Canyon Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday go to Tucson. Okay. But the level of dark interference that I experienced from arriving in Gold Canyon Monday night and Tuesday night, Um, and I ended up having to flee that property and go to Tucson a day early. So maybe I'll do a video on that story. I'm still kind of unpacking, like mentally unpacking what exactly happened and why. Like, was there something trying to keep me from Tucson? Or was it just negative interference just because they can? Um, One thing that was really brought to mind, though, was a huge reminder of how protected I am at this property right here. Now, it is true that the angel lady and her entity were able to sort of get in, but that entity is like freaky powerful, okay? Like, I don't wish that entity on anybody. It's freaky. And it was not able to turn into a huge attack. Ever since I moved into this place a year and a half ago, I have, like, the level of issues have gone way down. I was always having to do the daily protocols and all this stuff that I always teach you guys in my paid programs, daily clearing, physical tools and all of that. As soon as I moved in here, like, I barely have to do any of that at all because there's all of these beautiful beings on this property that naturally protect me, which is really cool. And so it was a huge reminder that I'm very, very protected here at this place where I live. So I'm super grateful. So I do plan to include the story of the crazy trip. Well, actually everything I've shared, and then the crazy trip, which you don't know the details yet. Some of you do. Some of you have heard the story, but I'm not going to share it on this video. You have to just have a cliffhanger and not know what happened. It was crazy. I will say that it was crazy, and I had to flee from the place where I was staying. It was really bad. There were evil spirits. I'm so tempted to tell you more, but I'm not going to. I am going to throw one little tidbit in here, and it's that if you are visiting a place and it's not your place, you don't have the authority to kick spirits off the land. Let's say you're renting like an Airbnb, like I was. If there are nasty spirits on there and you are going in as a visitor, you do not have the authority to kick that stuff off. I mean, you have the authority to keep it out of your immediate space. You can totally do that. But you can't kick them off the land because that's their place. You are intruding on their space. So, and another little tidbit is that even if you're a nice person and you're fair, they're not going to be like, they're going to be like, get the heck out of here. So anyway, you'll have to just be hanging on that cliff and not know exactly what happened, but it was really, really crazy. I see a comment from Melissa. I'm going to read that. Oops, what just happened? Sorry. Okay. I feel so much lighter anytime I visit anywhere, except St. Louis feels heavy too. Last fall when I flew to Milwaukee, not super light, but more than here, as I was falling asleep, I saw a message of how KC is slowing me down. Yeah, I'm going to be real diplomatic here, just speaking in general, that as far as locations are concerned, we all vibrate at a different frequency. So, like, I think of it as different radio stations. So that helps us get out of that hierarchical thinking, like higher vibration or lower vibration or whatever. That, you know, sometimes we are growing into a different frequency, a different radio station than is a match for where you're living. And I've been feeling that. And I know that that was part of what brought me out to living out in the country. So I'm able to be outside of that immediate energy and create my own little bubble. But yeah, so Melissa, I really relate to what you're saying, how you say Casey is slowing me down. What I hear you saying is that like it's not a vibrational match, right? And I do think that like some people are a match for some locations on the planet and other locations are just not a match. And in some cases, it's not that the place is better or worse, it's just different. So I said I was going to be real diplomatic about it. That's me being diplomatic. So yeah, so that's a little bit of story time. That's a little bit about what I have gone through. And I'm happy to be back home, back at my little prairie house where the energy is really safe and secure. And, you know, any little thing that does begin to happen, I'm able to clear it really, really easily out here. So I feel very blessed to be out at this place. You might be wondering, especially those of you who are local, like, is she moving or not? I do not know, but I know this, that nothing is going to happen quickly. I really don't think anything's going to happen quickly. Like once I went through the crazy trip, I was like, I'm just going to get my butt back to my home where I'm safe and let's just wait for the dust to clear so that I can see what's what. So anyway, that's my story. So I do not know, but I know that I'm here and I'm enjoying where I'm at now. Yep. Hi, Melissa. Good to see you. Well, we are just winding down now. I'm going to go get ready for my evening class. This is the first night of the Psychic Protection 6-month online mentorship. And that's starting tonight. And by the way, this morning I decided that this mentorship, this one that's starting tonight, is the last one. And I know there have been some people who've been on the fence, like, okay, I'll catch you next time. Well, this morning when I got up, I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm still going to be doing my work, right? Still going to be doing my psychic protection work, but I've been kind of getting this feeling that I'm supposed to not offer that program anymore, at least not in the way that I'm offering it. And so I've been feeling that way for a while. And then this morning when I got up, I was like, yep, that's it. I mean, I've been feeling like it's time. I'm always evolving. And so I'll offer something for a while and then I get a feeling like we need to wind that down and finish that energy. So FYI, if you're on the fence, I mean it, you guys. One student who was going through the interview process last night, she said to me that she saw one of my posts about how this was the last time. Even last night, she said, I saw even before I was totally sure. She said, I saw that this might be the last time and I knew that you meant it. I'm like, yeah, yes, I really mean it, you guys. It's the last time. So, Melissa and anybody else interested, go to my website, psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. And then the menu bar at the top, hover over Need Psychic Protection, and the program is under that. If you are watching the replay of this and you go to my website and you try to find that and it's no longer there, it means that enrollment is no longer open because I'm going to take that down very soon. So scurry over there and message me or email me if you're planning on getting signed up. This is the last chance. Okay, so those of you who did the Facebook Live last month, I am going to swing back around and finish that topic. We got cut off early. What was hilarious was I was talking about how psychic attack can actually come through and interfere with your electronics. And when I started talking about that, guess what happened? The Facebook Live ended. I thought that was so funny. Now, in the past, I would have been like, oh no, that's really bad. Now I see that it's just like a little bit of the dark forces. So, because okay, I got too many thoughts in my head. I'm trying to get out all at once. What happens is the dark forces will try to trigger your fear by doing little insignificant things that really don't matter. But if they can get you into fear mode, then they wear you down. Remember earlier in the video, I was saying they'll wear you down a little bit and then a little bit more, and then a bigger attack will come, and then a huge attack will come. And so now it's a lot harder for them to get to me because they will do little things to just let me know that they're still around. And it used to really get me going where I'd get all into fear. And now when I was talking about electronic interference and the Facebook Live suddenly shut down, I was like, haha, very funny. We'll finish up on that next time. Okay, so I will finish that topic next month, and I will, create some really good notes for you guys. So be sure to join next month. So for the time being, we're still doing every month, just monthly, on the third Monday for our Facebook Live. So put that on your calendar. The third Monday at 6 p.m. Central. Join us here in the Facebook group, and I will see you all next time. Bye.